After several years of construction, the Onrust was finally in the water. Along with a group of New York State Canal Corp tugs and crane barges, the Onrust was underway to the nearest local lock. Here a group of excited volunteers were to board for a short voyage down the Erie Barge Canal and back. This was a simple but long-awaited maiden voyage.
And 250 volunteers, 100 trees, and 3 years, one perfect ship. And how perfect is it really then with the historic techniques?
Now, in all respects, first the shape, the design of the ship is, well, very accurately according the style the Dutch built in those days. I'm talking about the early 17th century. And the other thing is that how it was built, the technique and the process. We copied that for the first time, I think, in 250 years, because, well, that was the time that they stopped with that technique and was forgotten for a long time. And only a decade ago, a little more than a decade ago, we could reconstruct that building technique, and that is applied now. It's very unique for the first time, again, not in the Netherlands, but here in Manhattan or Governor's Island. We don't know that exactly, but it was in that area, it must be. The ship of Adrian Block caught fire and it burned down and sank. And well, that doesn't burn down in just a couple of minutes, that takes hours. So they had plenty of time to remove all the valuable things from the ship the moment they saw that they couldn't stop the fire. And so they decided with their little boats, they have always boats with them, just to bring out all the valuable things to the shore and well, to see what to do next.
Adrian Block took his time to really make trips all around Long Island and that was quite a valuable time.
Oh yeah.
And I think when you said that he on purpose didn't choose to go back to the Netherlands, there was an opportunity for him to do that. He stayed behind, and with what he had discovered and when he had done his measurements and all, all that information could be put in cart.
Oh yeah, and that was very valuable too, because, well, people were exploring the world and making a chart of it, of a new area. That was in fact significant and valuable knowledge. And another thing why they managed to build, or decided to build a ship like that, was pure an economical thing. Because, well, imagine that they have been sitting there for half a year or longer, till a certain moment all the Dutch ship was passing by and they could travel home with that ship. What do you think that Mr. van Tweenhuizen in Amsterdam would say? So, oh, very nice, you burned down my ship and you used all my food, my stores of the ship, and everything is gone, so I will pay you out a nice wage. No, he would say, well, I charge you because you used all my food for more than a year on my ship. You let my ship disappear, so, well, you have to pay me a lot of money. So that was not a good future image. So what they decided, and that's what convinced the crew to work like hell to make this boat, Adrian Block said, well, let's use our time. We have tools, we have wood, and if we make a ship, the ship will be owned by Van Tweenhuizen, so it's a kind of present to him, you could say it like that. And on the other way, the advantage is we can go around, explore the coast with that ship, That's why they made a yacht, because that is very the best type of ship to do that, a seaworthy yacht. And at the same time they could get to more natives in that area and do some trade, so to buy some more fur, that at the moment that another ship was coming by to pick them up, they had merchandise with them to take back to Amsterdam, so that Van Tweenhuizen might be even content about it. Say, well, you have a nice collection of fur, and I have a nice exploring ship you made there, with all your energy together. I can use to explore the east coast of the United States, America then. So that was the reason why they decided to put so much energy and work like hell for half a year to build it. Because they must have been working bloody hard. Because, well, we rebuilt this ship, and it took us more than 2.5 years. But these people were just, it was their last, moment to make some money, or just being charged by Van Tweenhuizen. So it's not a hobby. It was
no,
pure,
it was
real common
right.
sense to do that. And this is how the ship will look like when we are sailing. It has one mast with a special sprit sail and a jib in front. And with lee boards, that is to improve the capacity of sailing very close to the wind. There was a very smart technique for ships like that, but we will do that as well.
What was your best memory?
I think indeed the experience with the volunteers altogether. And well, I started this project as a kind of technical challenge to see if it was possible to make a boat according this primitive technique. But then it appeared that working with the volunteers and how they picked up the techniques with so much enthusiasm, so it actually was working out much faster than I expected. I think that is the most important thing for me, that experience.
And in and by itself, it was the proof that so many of those ships could have been built in
Absolutely.
the 17th century.
It's also a kind of proof that this primitive system works perfectly in the way they used it in those days. So it's not only our fun, but it's basically, we have now more or less scientific proof that building ships that fast in the past is absolutely a fact, and is not an imagination or an exaggeration.
Sort of the proof.
Oh, absolutely.
This has provided you with the proof of it. En de Onrust gaat aanstaande woensdag te water hier in Amerika. Gebouwd in Rotterdam Junction in de provincie Schenectady. Dat is Schenectady, New York. 3 jaar is er over gedaan. Hoe lang denk jij dat het schip in de tijd op Governors Island geduurd heeft om gebouwd te worden?
Nou, uit de archieven weten we dat niet precies, maar als we het een beetje kunnen construeren, dan zijn ze nou wel een maand of 4 bezig geweest voordat het schip het water in ging. Dat betekent niet dat het klaar is, want dan was het schip eigenlijk maar half klaar. Want men werkte zo dat de romp werd grotendeels gebouwd, de bovenbouw daarvan niet. Zodra de onderkant, dus waar we eigenlijk nu bij staan, tot en met de waterlijn dicht was, werd het schip te water gelaten en in het water werd hij afgebouwd. Dat had gewoon te maken met de belasting die op het schip komt als het helemaal afgebouwd is en zwaar is. Je laat het dan afglijden via een helling dan komen er zulke krachten op de kiel en op de romp. Dan kan er gauw wat misgaan en dan heb je het schip weer kapot. Dus daarom gebruiken ze deze techniek. Half klaar, waterdicht, hup het water in. Nou, we hebben met dit schip, laten we hem niet met gewoon een slip bij het water in zakken. Via een helling. Hij wordt met de kraan opgepakt. Dus wij hebben de bovenbouw wat verder af kunnen werken. Maar toch houden we zo min mogelijk gewicht erin. Dus veel van binnenbetimmering, de mast en tuigage, dat soort dingen, dat zit er nog steeds niet op. Dat wordt later ook gewoon aangebracht als het schip in het water ligt.
En dus, doordat we hier nu in Amerika kunnen zeggen, de Onrust, het eerste schip gebouwd in Amerika en gebouwd op een 100% correcte historische manier. Ja. En ligt dat even toe hoe je dat kan bewijzen.
Maar het voordeel was met scheepswrakken uit Flevoland. Daar hadden we een exact voorbeeld van hoe dat anatomisch in elkaar zat. En toen ik dat vergeleek met de teksten van Nicolaas Witsen, nou vielen eigenlijk de puzzelstukjes van de scheepsbouw in elkaar. En ja, begreep ik voor het eerst eigenlijk spatzuiver hoe het nou toe ging. En die techniek heb ik nu eigenlijk voor het eerst op dit schip exact toegepast zoals het dus 400 jaar geleden de algemene stijl was. En dat is helemaal heel kort te gaan. Je bouwt eigenlijk eerst de huid door de plank aan elkaar te zetten. Die wordt ook tijdelijk gewoon met latjes aan elkaar geprutst is het eigenlijk. Dat is een wat primitieve methode. En als dan het grootste deel van die romp staat, dan pas vul je hem van binnenuit in het span. Je versterk je dus aan. En dan hebben we het over de onderste helft van de romp. En de bovenhelft, die ging al een beetje modern door de eerste spanten dan daar weer op te zetten. En daarna de huid erop te tikken. Nou, deze methode is in Nederland, ook met de replica die gebouwd zijn, nog niet 100% zuiver gedaan. Het is toch wel vaak gewerkt eerst met het bouwen van spanten. En daarna, omdat wij tekeningen kunnen maken, die techniek beheersen we tegenwoordig. En dat is veiliger, want je weet precies waar je naartoe gaat. En dan eerst de spanten en daarna de huid omheen. Maar hier hebben we het nou eigenlijk op de letter van Nicolaas Witsen toegepast. En het blijkt ook in de praktijk in de groot een hele makkelijke en snelle methode.
Completing this short journey, the Onrust was to dock up with a state crane barge that would soon begin to offload the ballast and lee boards and anchor. Now for the final setting of the mast, these volunteer spectators grew anxious as the canal worker crew would soon set the mast into place. One more finished chapter. The Onrust would be outfitted and rigged in preparation for the 400-year Hudson River Quadricentennial celebrations, now heading down the Mohawk River and into the Hudson River to New York City, and there meeting up with the Half Moon and other Dutch classic vessels participating in this monumental celebration. In the year 1609, Henry Hudson and the Half Moon departed the New World. Now the Half Moon would soon return to Amsterdam, and soon after, the precious maps of this journey would be shared with other Dutch navigators. Amongst the earliest of them were Adrian Block and his partner Hendrik Christensen. They would soon play a major role in our early American New Netherland past. They made several voyages to the New World, and in the year 1613, off Manhattan Harbor, Block's vessel, the Tiger, caught fire and burned. Now with the help of the local natives and his crew, Captain Block constructed a new vessel, the Onrust, America's first built sailing ship. But for the moment, let's look into Adrian Block's original travels with the Onrust. The Onrust was launched off Manhattan into East River in April of 1614. Adrian Block then sailed through the passage he gave the name Hell's Gate into Long Island Sound. He then chartered the northeastern shores of today's Connecticut in its harbors and up its estuaries. Exploring these estuaries, he came upon a river, today's Housatonic. He called it the River Rodenburg. He then headed northeast to a larger harbor, given the name Rodenburg, after a large red mountain overlooking the harbor, today's New Haven or New Haven. Block then continued north and came upon another large river, today's Connecticut. He sailed up this river to present-day Hartford, where he came upon a group of Indians. There he departed the Onrust. We today honor this landing in Hartford as Adrian's Landing, Hartford's main waterfront development. Adrian Block sailed down the Connecticut River, to which he gave the name Varse River or Freshwater River. Now entering into Long Island Sound again, he headed northeast, charting the coastline to the Pequatos River, or today's Thames River. Here years earlier, he had traded with the Pequot tribes. From there, he set sail with the Onrust to the island we today call Block Island, named after our navigator. Along the way, he noted in his charts Red Islands, or Rhode Islands, from which the state of Rhode Island is derived. In this area, he had traded with the Narragansett tribe. Now, departing the island Block had come to call home for years in this area, the Onrust set a course southeast across the Vineyard Sound, where he sailed close to the chalk cliffs on Martha's Vineyard, he called Texel. Steering north, he sighted Monterey Point at the southeasterly tip of Cape Cod, and coasting north along the eastern shore of Cape Cod, he reached its northern point. He named it Stoughton Hook. The Onrust set a southerly course into Cape Cod Bay, exploring and charting its shores and naming it Stoughton Bay. The Onrust next sailed into Plymouth Bay, 6 years before the arrival of the Mayflower. Now heading to the north into Massachusetts Bay, known to Block as the Northern Say, the Onrust anchored. This was present-day Nahant Bay, described by Block as to which the limits of the New Netherland extended. Now Block decided to return to Holland and report his discoveries. Now having secured a full cargo of furs, the Fortune, with Christensen as captain, in the spring of 1614, set sail down the Hudson River, bound for Holland. On her course, the Fortune fell in with the Onrust. Near Cape Cod, Block boarded the Fortune with his charts and furs and directed that Cornelius Hendrickson, a member of his crew of the Onrust, be placed in charge and command of the Onrust to continue further explorations to the Delaware River area, then return to Holland and report his discoveries. Adrian Block and Hendrik Christensen reached Amsterdam with the Fortune in July of 1614. The charts that Adrian Block returned to Amsterdam with were essential for the future travelers to the New World. His charting set the boundaries to the New Netherland and its future settlements. In many ways, Adrian Block and his partner, Hendrik Christensen, were the forefathers of the New Netherland discovery, at the forefront of our understanding of our Eastern Native American trading heritage, a much overlooked part of our early American roots. We believe that the launching of the Onrust will give the viewing public a better perspective into this still untold story.